Hey, this is me building a $3 million year business in public. The way these videos always go is I start with some YouTube comment Q&A just to deliver some value. And then also it's kind of a growth hack because every time somebody comments on a YouTube video, it ranks it higher in the algo. Then I do Instagram, YouTube, and product growth. And then I talk one improvement. Right now it is Maker School, which is my $300,000 a month community. And I'm trying to get the churn down. So this is my main channel over here. This is my daily updates channel. I just scroll all the way down the bottom and answer questions. Last one was from Miguel. He says, nope, I lied. Last one was from, my God, I got a lot more questions than I thought. Samyo, who says, hey, Nick, how to bring the first employee in your business? Do you just give them a salary? What about incrementing it? Do you do some kind of profit share or bonuses? How are you currently doing this in your own business? On average, how much time people work in your business? In general, when do you bring the first employee and what do you expect with your first hire? So I think my thoughts on this are pretty clear now after having hired maybe 40-ish, maybe 50 people directly for agency work. I assume you're talking about agency work. I've hired people for other things, but generally speaking, I like to hire last. A lot of people have been brought up on this idea of delegating everything because a lot of the advice given to young, new entrepreneurs and business owners over the course of the last 10 years has been from people that ran businesses where you needed to delegate everything. And so now it's like, hey, a lot of people believe, hey, the second that you make a little bit of money and you find yourself incapable of continuing to make the same amount of money or grow without another person, you should just delegate all the stuff that you don't do. I understand the idea behind this advice, but just to push back on it, that advice sort of originated like 15-ish, 20 years ago, where it was a lot more difficult to have technology deal with a lot of our problems. And nowadays with technology, I find that we don't actually need to hire anywhere near as soon as most people think. So instead of you hiring at, let's say, $15,000 or $20,000 a month for your business, you can realistically hire at like $50,000 a month for your business. And you can make that your first hire just because technology has given us a lot more leverage. So just wanted to start off the question with that. I don't recommend hiring until much, much, much later. And the reason why is because hiring is sort of like a Band-Aid solution to a deeper problem. If you're at the point where you need to hire, and let's say you're making less than $25,000 a month, odds are your business is suffering from a number of problems. But the main problem that it's suffering from, believe it or not, it's not the symptom that you don't have people. It is the systems of your business. So it's not necessarily the fact that you don't have enough manpower to fulfill. It's that the systems of your business aren't set up in such a way that decrease the amount of work it takes for you to fulfill. And that's the main problem here that I think you should be focusing on. Another big issue is just the products that you are selling or the services that you are selling. You haven't really thought about how to structure your products or services in such a way to decrease the amount of fulfillment time necessary on your end. And then also there's just a lot of sales optimization that you probably haven't done. Stuff like client management and whatnot can be broken down into discrete series of steps. So we'll chat about that as well, client management. Okay. So what I mean by systems, I just mean automating a lot of stuff that is just the same every single time you get a client, and you just don't need to be doing manually, but you are, and you aren't not thinking. You're thinking that you're really busy and you're very productive, but you're just doing a bunch of work that doesn't need to be done. What am I talking about? I'm onboarding emails. I mean scheduling calls. I mean in some instances getting on calls to deal with problems that you could otherwise do in an email. Through products, what do I mean? I mean, instead of you hiring somebody to be able to fulfill your current thing, double the fulfillment capacity of your current thing, just design products that take half as much work, on your end to fulfill. And there are products out there that do this. So instead of you selling some generalized custom cold email service or something, sell a productized, simple offer that is systematized, and you send over a form automatically to receive a bunch of details, and then automatically first draft out an instantly campaign and automatically scrape leads and automatically do all that stuff. So build products that allow you to systematize. On the sales side of things, build scalable sales flows. So a lot of people do 1, 2, hell, sometimes they do 3 calls in order to get somebody to the point where they're saying yes to you. Depends on the market. So if you're doing enterprise or something like that, that might be a little bit different. You do have to have more calls, but just build in scalable sales flows. So I just do a discovery call / closing call, and I just batch it all into one, and then I send a proposal. And if they don't say yes at the end of the proposal and the deal is less than $5,000, then I don't book another sales call. The idea is I have automated follow-up systems up here that squeeze out the juice. And then if the deal is not worth the squeeze, then I don't really concern myself with it anymore. And then client management here. So like you can actually take your client management, you can make it discrete. So instead of just a client having access to your WhatsApp or something, which you think provides the illusion of really good quality and like white glove service, but is actually eating up literally an hour of your day per client because they reach you at random hours and they screw with your context, your ability to stay on task and context switching and stuff like that. You like have a discrete task every morning at 8 a.m. saying update client for 5 minutes on X, Y, and Z, where like you just like sit down and write a message based off a template, send it over to them. And if they respond to you at any point during the day, you deal with it the next morning at 8 a.m. So, rather than hire, you kind of have like hiring over here. That's just a band-aid that tries to solve all these problems. Rather than hire, deal with all this stuff. The benefit there is because now, instead of you hiring at, let's say, $20,000, and when you're hiring at $20,000, you're making your first hire. Like if you want to hire somebody, you're gonna pay them like $5,000 or something, right? That's like a quarter of all the money that you make. If your margins are already, I don't know, 50%, like most agencies, that's actually half of all the money that you're making of your agencies. You're giving up half of all of your money to get a clone. In addition, you also have like management costs that are now added on where you're not spending time working, you're spending time managing. You have the risk of the person leaving your business, stealing stuff from your business, doing whatever. I mean, there's just so many of these things. Instead of hiring at this position, which is very shaky, okay, hire at this position where, if you hire a $5,000 person, maybe now it's only like 1/5 of your total margin, assuming 50%. Because now, you're just in a much better position. Okay. So yeah, just hire, I hire last. I don't hire first. In terms of how I do it, I almost always do flat with some sort of bonus. Better not to do, like all rev share or basically, I would never recommend doing profit share just because from their perspective, like it doesn't really align incentives with them. Think about it. If you're my staff member, you do profit share with me, or, I pitch you on profit share. You can make me a ton of money and then I just spend the money on shit. It doesn't really make sense, right? If you're going to do some sort of share, do rev share, but rev share is very difficult to do. And it also adds a lot of admin and like logistical overhead and BS. So I just recommend giving bonuses that are very clearly trackable. What I'm doing now is I actually just have my staff just track it themselves. And then if they hit the bonuses, then they just like add it to their invoice. That's pretty cool. Eliminates a good hour a month of my time for dealing with all that BS. And yeah, that's probably what I would do it. Okay. Hi, Nick. I feel like, and the last thing is how much time people work in your business. All I care about are deliverables. That's all I care about. I've tried doing a number of things. I've tried tracking time. The only thing I actually care about nowadays are, do you do the deliverable? Like I don't assign time. I do deliverable. If the person is intelligent and ambitious, they can build systems in their own workday that allow them to get what they need to get done in fewer hours than I would reasonably expect for it. So instead of them working 8 hours to make, $8,000 or something, 8 hours a day to make $8,000 a month, maybe they design systems that allow them to make $8,000 a month in 4 hours. Do I care? No, I don't, because they're still doing the thing that I hired them to do. Like, I don't care how much time it takes. All I care about is the quality of the product. Sometimes they're going to design systems that are going to reduce the quality of the product and the deliverable that they give you, and then you just have to make sure to manage them. But yeah, man, that took up most of my time for today. Daz says, hey, I feel like we're seeing a lot of ways to generate clients for ourselves, not actually our service, the lead gen system, which is great and valuable, but how are we actually scraping the clients, especially for recruitment or B2B SaaS? I do actually talk all about this. You probably just haven't seen the specific video. So just check out Watch Me Start and Sell a Service in 10 hours. It's like literally I start from scratch and then I get a client, not a client. I get people that like jump on calls with me by the end of the video. And it just took like maybe an hour and a half of work. So this is like, I actually do exactly what you're asking for the most part. I don't actually, I don't actually talk. I mean, like you're generating clients for the lead gen system with that, right? So nice poster ad. Yeah, it's over here. I need to put it up. I like your approach to sales. Reposition yourself as equal to the client, not a dancing monkey. Crucial component in any sale. When or how did you learn to apply this tactic? Maybe you can recommend some relevant content on the topic. Thanks. I don't have any relevant content, but I will tell you where I learned it. I learned it back when I was doing door-to-door with my buddy Grinder. And I just found that a lot of the time we were very young and not very experienced. And so it was difficult for us to like build perceived authority and credibility. And because of that, we were always put in a position where they were like, okay, well, show me. And it felt like that meme where like there's this posh guy looking down at this like arena, right? It's almost like the Gladiator, like I don't want to perform like that. So I just started pitching things as more business owner to business owner than I was, like prospect and then salesperson, which helped a lot. Tekle said, love your Brive Lamestorm. Good God. I had like one mojito last night and I'm absolutely tanked. Dude, I also love your live brainstorm videos. Please keep them up. Thanks. Great question from Nuko. Says, hey, Nick, when you're setting up a campaign and instantly, is there an ideal time to send emails for better results? Sending them early in the morning, help get them to the top of the inboxes. Thanks for all the content. It's been a big help in my journey. Yeah, for sure. I actually recommend sending. Here's my own like scheduling stack. And I'm not saying this is the best, but it's pretty good, I think. I do 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Saturday. Because I find that at least in the markets that I'm sending to, like Sunday is sort of like, the day for God or whatever. People are usually with their family or whatnot. I sell primarily to, U.S. markets. So this is going to depend on where you are and whatever. But I find Sundays, people are a lot more likely to actually take the time off. Mondays, 7 a.m. That's about like half an hour or so earlier than most people get to the office. So if you're a business owner and you showed up earlier than your staff members, which you usually do, you will be around to answer questions at that time. And I'm going to be at the top of your inbox. Obviously, people stay over a little bit later. So business owners stay over a little bit later. So since I'm usually trying to reach business owners and decision makers, I push past 6 p.m. Depends on the scheduling settings in your instantly as well, because, like you could set it to gap like 5 minutes between emails, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And depending on the volume, then some of these are not actually going to be able to send at the same time. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Naden says, inspiring mindset. Gabia says, yes, I absolutely agree. No problem, my man. Lucas says, I took your podcast repurposing engine and significantly improved it, capable of generating auto-cropped video clips instead of just static images. Nice. Question is, who should I sell it to? I initially thought of coaches and consultants, but I'm not 100% convinced. Since I'm based in a different country, I'm not sure how to approach them through cold outreach. Would love to hear your thoughts if you have a minute. Thanks. How'd I do it? Dude, you sell it to anybody with a podcast. It's pretty straightforward, right? So just sell it to anybody with a podcast. So find a podcast scraping service. Find a way to scrape podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify podcasts. Maybe you could just like Google search podcasts and then scrape like the first 100 pages. Turn all those into distinct links. Enrich those email addresses and then just pitch directly to them and say, hey, I just repurposed 10 of your podcasts, one of your podcasts. Hey, man, love XYZ podcast. Big fan of the last episode, especially I also believe in the thing that they discussed. Here is I think you could be making more money with this podcast. Or like, I'm big into podcasts. Used to run one myself or listen to them all the time or whatever tie-in. I think you could be making a lot more money than you're currently doing right now with some sort of repurposing. I went and just repurposed 10 clips for you, completely free of charge. I can send, you're not supposed to send a link in the first email to somebody. So if you want them, just let me know and I'll send you all 10 free of charge just to show you. If you get into repurposing or whatever, I do this thing professionally as a service. And I'm more than happy to like give you 50 clips up front. And then if you like them, maybe we can discuss some sort of pricing package. If you send this to 1,000 people that run podcasts, like a bunch of them are going to bite. When I say a bunch, like a lot of them are going to bite. Very underserved market, I would say. So that's how I would do it. Cool. I'm going to leave it there. And then we're going to do brand stats. Hopefully I've clarified a little bit of my thoughts on hiring and then maybe on outreach today. What are brand stats? Well, I just go through my brands and then I count up the number of subscribers that I have and then also money and whatnot. So I gained 812 in the last 24 hours on my main channel. On my daily updates channel, I gained, this feels big for some reason. It's not. And then on my Instagram, I use the service called Blast Up, which just really quickly and easily allows me to add up the number of subs I have. I feel like this is a pretty big spike, no? Okay, maybe not that big of a spike. And the reason why I do this is because I just think it's important to bring your awareness to the metrics that matter. I care about my subscriber counts. I care about my follower counts. I care about my my daily updates channel as well across my main stuff. So doesn't it just make sense that I would recenter my awareness into this every single day? Like, not to make this all philosophical or spiritual or woo-woo or whatever, but like, you should just be, if you have a goal, you should be visualizing that goal and bringing your attention and awareness to that goal as often as humanly possible, I think. So what you don't track doesn't improve. What you track religiously tends to improve a little bit faster. That's my goal here. And hopefully it also shows you guys that you don't need a sophisticated system in order to do this. I literally just open up my shit once a day and then I just say, how many followers, how many followers, how many followers. But it gives me a reasonable understanding of like my relative growth rates and how my inputs are translating into outputs, which I think are very important. Okay, so what else do we got? Usually now I do one improvement. So right now I'm doing these Maker School exclusives, they're called, which is basically a big post calendar to decrease my churn in Maker School. What's pretty funny is after I made my last post, which is what do you want to know? We did have a decrease in churn. Oh, never mind. We're back to the same thing. We were at 21.95% when I started this. Now we're at 21.95%. I lied. Anyway, must have just been noise. No big deal. So today I'm going to be posting a community exclusive called How to Focus in 2025, where I just go through all of my my focus techniques and ideas. That's going to be pretty fun. I got only a few hours left today to do that just because it's Father's Day. I'm going to be taking out my dad. We're going to grab probably some lunch. He wants to try this this place with like these, I think it's like a flight of beer or something, or like a tasting pack or whatnot. He's big into like super hoppy beers. So it's going to be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, we're going to try and bump out a video recording, post it inside of Maker School, and then also just juggle the other things that I have to do today. One major change I did today was instead of me waking up when doing my community management first, I woke up and then I did my content first and some of my admin. So I'm just playing around with like slightly different scheduling. I don't know if this is better or worse. Part of me already feels like I don't want to sit down and do the community management for the next 2 hours. We'll see. I'm not entirely sure if my productivity is going to be as high. And I just picked up a bed for my apartment. That's another thing I did today. So that was a massive pain in the ass. I had to drive down to some warehouse, get that done. But looking forward to actually having like a bed as opposed to just a mattress on the floor. Okay, that's it. I'm going to leave it. Hopefully you guys appreciate this daily update. If you guys have any questions you guys want me to answer yours, just drop them down below.